Hi out there. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Brave Files podcast. This week, I'm talking to Terry Niemann. And Terry has suffered several concussions that went undiagnosed and misdiagnosed for years. Through her very painful journey, Terry has discovered ways to prioritize joy in her life, and she wants to help you do the same thing. In this conversation, we uncover some wonderful truths like we aren't invincible and we don't have infinite energy. Because of this, it's okay to prioritize what's important to you and let everything else take a back seat. You don't actually have to be a superhero, contrary to popular cultural belief. Getting into this habit will help you build a life that brings you peace. And what's better than that, really? Also, we want you to be kind to yourself. Words matter. And the stories that we tell ourselves about ourselves affect how we see the world and how we move through it. And they definitely challenge your ability to prioritize joy. Oh, and we have some really tactical advice that's literally life or death, like always wear your helmet when you bike, skate, or scooter. Concussions often go misdiagnosed or undiagnosed because they don't show up on hospital scans unless they're directly linked to a brain bleed or a skull fracture. Also, symptoms of a concussion often arise after your hospital visit, so be aware, be smart, and advocate for yourself. No matter what you're going through in life, there is a way to prioritize joy. So tune in to hear Terry's incredible story and figure out how you can make joy a top priority in your own life. Before we start the show, though, I want to ask, are you already a member of our awesome, exclusive Facebook collective, Brave on Purpose? If you're not, I urge you to head on over to Facebook right now, search up Brave on Purpose, and join us. We are a community of incredible people who are willing to step into fear, leverage that fear, and make big, brave choices for a better, happier, and more successful life in every possible way. It's a wonderful community of people. There's nothing else like it on the internet, and we would love to have you there with us. Again, you just visit Facebook and search Brave on Purpose, and you'll find us there. All right, now here's the show.
Warrior, changed acceptance.
This is Heather Vickery, and you're listening to The Brave Files, stories from people living courageously. When we choose bravely in big and small ways, it powerfully elevates our lives. I hope these stories connect with you and encourage you to embrace bravery in every possible way, day after day. Together, we can build a movement of courageous living that enriches both our lives and our communities. And if you enjoy the show, I ask you to please share it with others. Maybe think of someone who you want to choose bravely right alongside you. Thanks for tuning in. Now here's the show. Hey, everybody, this is Heather Vickery. Welcome to this week's episode of the Brave Files podcast. I'm so happy to have you here with us. You know, sometimes I wish we could see that our lives are about to veer off of our intended course before it happens. But, you know, life doesn't really work that way. And this week's guest is here to share her story about how her life turned upside down by not one, but two concussions that rendered her life completely changed. The way she knew it was impossible, and she had to reinvent all of it. So Terry is here to tell us how she found a way to turn this negative into a positive, embrace her fears, and do things that she never thought possible. Terry, I'm so happy to have you here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Heather. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure. So let's give our listeners a little bit of a background about who you are and what you used to do, and then let's talk about your traumatic brain injury.
Sure.
Okay.
So in my former career, I was a special education teacher, taught like every grade but second, and I have no idea why not second. It's just the way it worked out. But I was a very good teacher, co-teaching team of the year, 2 years in a row. I loved what I did. It was definitely something that did not feel like a job. Never did I ever feel like it was a job. It was just something I loved to do. I got paid for it, luckily. So
Yes. Yeah. That's awesome.
I also was a certified personal trainer and a cyclist. I loved kettlebells and hiking, boxing.
Oh, I
Very
love
active.
boxing. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fun.
it's very empowering, and I loved to just be active. hmm And
Okay.
I'm an animal advocate. I love animals.
Oh, awesome.
hmm
Cool. So, was it through any of those passions and loves that you got your first concussion? What happened?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So it was actually 3 concussions in 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Okay.
And so my first concussion was just a friend and I would always go cycling, and we would go on our mountain bikes and come back with dented up bikes, and everyone would always kid and say that's going to be bad one day. But this was
Mm.
actually on our road bikes, this accident. It was with that friend, and it was a casual ride, and I would always get excited that we were going on a ride. But something in me, and I just didn't listen, was saying, don't go. Just don't go. And I was like, why? We're just
Oh,
going for
wow.
coffee, just this casual ride. Well, the casual ride turned into a pretty rough concussion day. What had happened was I lost control of my bike, and I have to back up a little bit. Sorry, Heather. The chain dropped, and I went to go fix the bike and was doing that, and that kind of set us off course a little bit. But then I tried to
Mm.
get back on course, and we were coming downhill. And when that happened, I lost control of the bike and went headfirst into a brick wall.
Oh my
Coming
gosh.
going
That's
downhill
terrifying.
and veer, it was horrifying, and we were veering to the right pretty strongly, so fortunately that made me brake, or I would have been some pretty hefty speeds, but I was slowing down to handle the turn. Lost complete control, but remained clipped in, where when you're wearing cycling shoes you clip in. So I took
Yeah.
the whole bike with me into the brick wall. I broke my shoulder in 3 spots because I had my arm like
Wow.
out to like brace my fall, that automatic thing you do. And that wasn't good for the arm at all. And I hit my
No.
head. So I had like my head, my whole forehead was swollen. When they took me to the hospital, they had to rule out if there was any brain bleed or
Bleeding. Yeah. Yeah. I wondered
yeah.
about that.
Yeah, anything with, spinal cord, or also, they go through worst case first, and then they worry about the arm. And all I cared about was the arm. That was like dangling there. But no one really diagnosed a concussion. It was
Really?
it was 12 weeks later when I got my second one that you would assume with the way my head looked and my helmet that there was a concussion, right? But 12 weeks later, I got vertigo.
Yeah.
And
Vertigo is awful. I've had uh, kind of mild cases of it, but it's just horrible.
it is. And I never had any vertigo before, so I didn't know what the heck was going on.
Mm.
And it's just spun me out of control and dropped me. And I landed on my porcelain tub and knocked my head.
Wow. Holy cow.
Yeah. So 12 weeks later, I'm now dealing with another one. I didn't even know there was the first one because I was in so much pain from all the other physical injuries from the bicycle accident. And went to a neurologist at that point because they were like, well, you're literally a mess. And that was actually her diagnosis, was you officially are a mess.
What?
I couldn't even really form sentences, get words out or understand her. Walking was hard. Retaining anything, remembering anything was completely not happening. So I really was. I wouldn't have been able to sit here and have this conversation with you because I wouldn't
Wow.
have processed what you were saying.
Wow.
And I wouldn't have been able to find my words either.
And it didn't ever, when was this?
That was back in 2013. The amazing thing is, in 11 months, I healed from that. I was fully healed. There was not even 1 ounce of a remaining that I would have said that there was concussion in my life. I was back to working out, kettlebells, box, you name it. I was doing it all again, except for the cycling. I have a little PTSD from
I'm
that.
sure, which is terrible because you so enjoyed it. But you're lucky to be alive after that type of accident.
Oh, and I know it. And I attribute a lot to the helmet, for sure. And the hill, because I slowed down. If that wasn't there, or I wasn't wearing the helmet, it would have been a different story.
Wow.
But yeah, you're right. And so, I'm sorry, but this happens, and I just want to explain this to the listeners. Sometimes I forget where I was and what I was saying, and that's going on like in this moment right now.
Yeah, it's okay. Take your time.
Yeah. And I was telling you about how I got the 3rd concussion, or we're not there yet.
Yeah, we were talking about how the fact that you completely healed from everything.
Yes,
remarkably.
Thank you, Heather.
Yes, yeah.
Thank you for doing that for me. And yes, completely healed. And it was great. I was just hiking, doing everything again. Back at work, had been back at work, teaching. Just life was going on, Mm-hmm. And 2016, August 2016, a few days prior to the students coming back in our area for school, I was setting up my class. And it was late. It was like 5, so other teachers had went home. And I was wrapping up, and I just needed to go to the restroom. And custodian staff had, unbeknownst to me, mopped the floor, but did not leave out any indication that there was a wet floor.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. On either side, when you enter the bathroom, or it's like a cement wall on either side, and then a really hard marble type hard floor. So when my feet flew up, my right side of my head hit the cement wall, and then I flew back onto my back and my head onto that hard floor. And that was the third concussion. That's the one that I've not yet recovered from. I still battle that every day.
Wow. That's so traumatic. I mean, just hearing you say that is cringeworthy. Even if you hadn't had the other accidents, there are so many things. There's a reason that they're required to put those caution on wet floors signs up. It's so dangerous.
It really is. My husband, he works in industry, a food industry. So he's now even more cautious about.
Yeah.
We have to be careful with these floors, and the type of shoes we wear, right? Yeah,
absolutely. So I assume you get taken to the hospital after that fall. That's pretty traumatic.
I did, and they do the same thing with the MRI clears. They take the X-ray. They do everything, but there's, Heather, concussions do not show up on all these tests unless you have brain bleed or fractured skull or something like that. And then they use the word mild brain concussion, which drives me crazy because there's nothing mild about it.
Doesn't sound like it. No.
It's not mild. It's not showing up, but and then what happens too is a lot of times symptoms for concussions will not come out right away. But just like any injury where there's inflammation, because that's basically what you're dealing with, is inflammation, but an injury like to the brain. Like if we could take our brain out and you could see it, it would look bruised and swollen.
Yeah.
So it doesn't come out right away. So people go on and go, I don't know, all of a sudden now I've kind of developed, and they'll name things that are very symptomatic of a concussion. Like those are the symptoms of a concussion. So a lot of times it goes misdiagnosed or never diagnosed.
Right. What is the treatment for? I am under the impression, and I really don't know a lot about concussions at all, that there isn't really anything they can do. So what kind of treatment did you undergo, or are you undergoing?
Well, it's funny you should ask that, because just this morning we were talking to a neurooptometrist, Dr. Collins, and one of the things is I don't know the exact number, but it's in the high 90% of concussion people have also vision issues called vertigo hydrophoria. I have that, and I also have convergence excess. And prism lenses really help, and vision therapy really help with that. You know, you get your eyes kind of whacked out of, they're not working together and they're not aligned. And maybe now you're wearing glasses that are actually always worked for you before, but because now you have an issue from your concussion where they're not teaming and not working correctly and they're out of alignment.
Right.
All these symptoms of dizziness and balance issues, a lot of it can be addressed through a prism lens and vision therapy. But I found that to be the most helpful, and a lot of other things like chiropractor, because 100% of brain injuries, 100%, if you hit your head hard enough to be concussed, you have whiplash.
100%. Yeah.
100%.
That's great feedback for anybody who's experienced it. I actually have a friend. We have known each other since we were both pregnant with our oldest daughters, and her daughter was a softball player. She may still be, and was hit in the head with a ball and has suffered, terrible trauma from concussions, including terrible migraines and just inability to focus. I'm sure all the things you're feeling. Right. And I'm sure they've tried all sorts of things, but that's my only other exposure prior to talking to you with the fallout from it, except from what I've read about football players and that they're doing all of these studies post-mortem on their brains, and it's pretty I use the word spectacular not because it's wonderful, but like it's big news about how it affects your personality and how it can change the way you interact with people. Like, how are you finding it affects you as you move through your day?
Well, daily I'll wake up and I literally take an assessment of myself there, going through all the different symptoms. And so I have to get a handle of that. So it affects me through my day because I'll be dealing with different pain, different limitations that it puts out. Like if you're dealing with balance, you have to be critically aware of that because that can lead to another concussion. Right. So it affects me all the time. I'm more cautious. I'm more aware of that. My brain drains quicker. It's like I liken it to an old phone where you have to recharge it and be mindful of it's not going to last all day. So what can I ask it to do? It's like my brain. It's not going to last all day. So what I have to kind of pace myself. Whereas before I was type A, just go.
Right. So how do you prioritize? How do you decide like, okay, I know I only have so much bandwidth. So what I really like, maybe rephrase this question. I really value, you don't actually have to have a traumatic brain injury to take lessons from this. We are only human people, and we often take on way too much, and far more of us should be saying, what are my priorities today? What do I know are non-negotiable? I'm going to get these things done, and if anything else gets done, that's going to be great, but it's extra. So how do you make that decision?
Well, I 100% agree with you, Heather. It's so true. And a lot of times what gets lost is things that fill our bucket and bring us joy, right? So for me, since those are the things that make me less symptomatic, I choose them first. I go with what brings me joy. What will I want to do today that's going to fill my bucket? And or somebody else's bucket, because that's a lot of filling my bucket is filling someone else's bucket. And I choose them first. I choose things that I know I can do and I feel good about. And I don't choose things that are going to drain me. I just avoid them.
Good for you. Good for you. Mm-hmm. I think that's really, really valuable feedback for folks. They can take that with them. They can use that no matter what's happening in their lives, because, stress and all of that, like we really need to prioritize more effectively. You have been doing some pretty great things. You're no longer able to teach, but you have reinvented yourself as a speaker and as an entrepreneur. Can you speak to that for a minute? How are you supporting others and growing despite these issues?
Yeah. So one day my husband comes home and he's like, I'm going to do a podcast. And I said, good for you. That's awesome. What's it about? And he said, you. And honestly, I had some social anxiety as part of being my concussion symptoms. And I said, no, I don't think so. And he said, no, it's going to be great. So I said, okay, only if it provides value for people. But at the minute I feel like there's no value, I am out.
Yeah.
We got such fantastic feedback. I could not believe how it was helping people to hear my story or to hear some of our guest stories, and just the community of what feedback that we've continued with it to the point then it was now we've created a support group to meet in person. So these people that live in our area, or even if they wanted to travel, could come and further build their community. And
super cool.
Mm-hmm. So we're doing that. And our next venture is we're looking to do a nonprofit for a TBI foundation nonprofit that can provide resources and help, especially in the area of natural resources, because that's the way I've chosen to treat myself, with all natural. And I feel like that never gets covered with insurance. People say, that sounds great, but my insurance pays for my pharmaceutical, or my insurance pays for this, but my insurance won't pay for a chiropractor or acupuncture or whatever you're choosing in the natural arena world out there, which could be very beneficial. And we want to be able to provide it. We're trying to figure it out now, but we're thinking of maybe along the lines of like a sliding scale, so people could afford it, or be giving. We can give it to them,
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the natural healing techniques and what you're using?
I love essential oils.
Me too.
I just adore them. And I use them for everything, Heather. I use them for emotional pain. I use them for any types of physical aches and woes that I might be feeling. Grounding. I used to get on here today with you to talk to you.
So what oils did you use to prep for this? I love essential oils also.
Okay. Yeah. Since you asked, I used Valor on my heart, courage. I used frankincense on my crown to ground me, and cedarwood to open up like my brain. It gives oxygen. And in my diffuser, I have vetiver for focus.
I love it. I use all of those. We must use the same type of oils. We won't mention the name right now.
That's awesome. I love that. And I love CBD. I actually have my neurologist telling me to double up on it. He's like, okay, double up on your CBD. That's what I want you to do. Take your magnesium. I haven't trained, I like to say.
So the CBD thing is interesting to me because, I'm a big fan as well, but there are so many different companies and it's not regulated. So how do you know where to buy your CBD products and make sure they're quality?
Yeah. So I do use Young Living, and I trust in their seed to seal. And because they carry CBD now, I know that I can trust in that because it carries their seed to seal. Okay. And that for me, that's where I go. Okay. I just would say if anyone's looking for it, just don't go to your local gas station,
Don't buy the gummies hanging by
my
the
sister's
checkout.
Like, I got it for $9.99. I was like, no.
Oh, that's funny. I am a big fan of alternative healing. I believe that there are so many ways to naturally care for ourselves. And I'm not anti-pharmaceuticals. I'm not saying that. There are some folks who absolutely need them. Do what you need to do to live your best life. But trying the natural healing is really something that's been impactful for me as well. Terry, I'm curious, does this new work that you're doing, does it feel brave to you?
Yes, it does, because I feel like I am making strong, meaningful, impactful decisions that service others while it's also servicing myself. And
Yeah.
I do it daily while I'm also dealing with my own issues.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's every day I wake up and I have to kind of get up and battle through what I'm battling every day.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's brave. Also, I think it's very brave. And anytime I meet somebody who is in their own pain, but pushes through that to help other people feel less pain, I'm sort of awed. And I'm really
Thank you.
awed by the work and the effort you're putting out when, some folks are just going to shut down. They're just going to stay home. They're going to
Yeah.
just feel bad for themselves. What do you think sets you apart from those people?
Not much. It's just a choice, like, because some days, Heather, to be honest, I can be that person.
Sure. And some days we all need to be that person.
Hmm. And there's some days that I am shut down and I have to get myself out of it.
How do you do that?
And I do that by people fill my bucket. I do
Yeah.
that by
Yeah.
by connecting with people in some way, shape, or form. And normally it seems funny because even when I'm in my worst bouts of, I can go in and out of a depression from this, somebody will say something to show how much I matter to them.
I love that.
Hmm.
Yeah. That just goes to I say this all the time, just proves the point that when you think a thought or feel a thing that there's gratitude for,
Hmm.
express it. If somebody is touching your life or making you feel happy or better or comfortable or whatever, tell them. Don't wait. In the moment feedback, share these things with people because it does change lives. And we just heard you say that when people tell you that you're making their life better, it helps you do hard things.
So it's so important. You're so right.
Yeah,
Um, you never know who needs to hear it and what they're going through.
absolutely.
Hmm.
Do you have a gratitude practice?
I do. I really do. We started it last January. I had seen it
Okay.
on Pinterest.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I've written 2 books and journals on gratitude, so I'm a big, big fan.
Well, Pinterest had this cute jar, and every week, and you could do it daily, but we did it every week, where you wrote down one thing on a strip of paper, one thing you're grateful for that happened that week, and one good thing that happened that week. And then January 1st, you read them. So we would date
Yeah.
them and read them. And my husband and I both did it. And January 1st, we just read them. And I have to tell you that if you're more detailed and to give a little bit more and you go back into these times and you think, wow, I am blessed. That's what you think when you're reading it. You're like, wow, I'm so blessed. Man, remember that? That was so awesome. It was a tradition that I want to just do every year.
Yeah, I love it. That's a fun way to close out the year or welcome in the new year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan of, though, expressing gratitude kind of always in all the ways to get me through difficult moments. I will stop and pause and take 2 deep breaths and find 5 things that I can see, taste, smell, hear, or touch at that exact moment, and out loud say that I'm grateful for them because it will reframe my energy and my mindset right in the moment.
Yeah. I'm big into doing daily, being very mindful of
Yeah,
what I'm saying to myself.
love
And
that.
and that's part of is being gratitude, but it's also loving myself
Yeah,
and saying kind things to myself. I feel like that when I could do that, I can actually be more grateful for everyone else too.
absolutely.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's so important. Words matter.
Hmm.
Words matter all the time, and the words that we use in our minds and to ourselves matter just as much as the words that we speak to other people. So, thank you for that,
Yep.
Terry. You've overcome so much. You're continuing to overcome so much, and really pushing yourself to do big, brave, scary things. How do you celebrate the moments where you've done something good? That's a win.
I had to really think about this question because I'm not. when I celebrate, I want to be around the people that I feel brought me that situation that I get to celebrate in. Like, like who also should be here celebrating this with me, like brought this about for me. And then I want to tell them and share it with them and laugh with them or hug them or jump for joy or go out to grab a drink or something to eat or something special that they like, but to just kind of be in that moment with that person. Or if it was just me, to maybe just be in that moment with me and just think about and just be, and here's that word again, just to be grateful, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great word. I love that. It's a wonderful, wonderful way to celebrate. I'm wondering if I could guess the answer to this, but maybe I'd be surprised. What's your favorite charitable organization to support?
You would think I was going to say something like the Brain Injury of America, right?
I was picking animals. I bet you were going to say animals.
You're good. Yeah. I was going to say, look, I for the longest time, I would have said Animal Hope and Wellness, but Mark Ching, he's coming under a little bit of fire, and I'm like, please, I love this man so much, and I love them, but I also love PETA, and I've loved PETA longer than I've been a person with a brain injury. I just adore that the work that they do for animals, because I feel like they are the voiceless, them and our children, anything with children and animals, and I am all about it.
I love that. So yeah, we are going to give them a little bit of love, and hopefully everybody else will do the same. So we firmly believe that in all the different ways we can come together as a community to support one another. That's how we get stronger together and better together. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Terry, I'm really grateful that you took the time. I know that your schedule is busy, and I also know that you only have a limited amount to give each day, and that you chose to spend some of that time here with us. Thank you so much for that gift.
Well, thank you for the gift of having me on.
Yeah, it was great. I think there were so many wonderful takeaways, even for people who haven't experienced this, or to understand maybe folks that do have a brain injury or a concussion, to support them better. Can you share your 3 words with us one last time?
Warrior, changed, acceptance.
Yeah. I feel those. Sometimes I ask for clarification, but I don't feel we need any clarification on this one at all. You are indeed a warrior, and your change and your acceptance of that and the rewriting of your life to make it work for you is really impressive. So thank you again. I'm so grateful to have you here.
Thank you again. I'm grateful that you had me on.
I love it. Listeners, thank you for being here with us. I love to know what you think of this episode, what you think of any of the episodes, or what you are out doing each and every day to embrace bravery. Give us a call at 312-646-0205 and share that with us. I listen to every message directly, and I cannot wait to connect with you on that. And if you love what we're doing, and we certainly hope that you love what we're doing, please consider joining our Brave movement by becoming part of our Patreon family. You can check us out at patreon.com/bravefiles and find a tier that works for you and join the movement and continue to help us do awesome things. So I look forward to connecting with you again next week. But for now, this is Heather Vickery reminding you today and always to go out and choose bravely. Hey friends, I want to share something really exciting with you. We already know you enjoy listening to podcasts because you're listening to this one, but I'm also betting you enjoy audiobooks. And hey, listen, if you don't already enjoy audiobooks, then it's time to check them out. That's why I'm really excited to share Libro.fm with you. They are an incredible new platform for listening to audiobooks. And by choosing Libro.fm over other audiobook services, you are supporting a local bookstore of your choice and investing in your local community. Libro.fm offers over 150,000 audiobooks via their primary platform, which, by the way, they built with love and from scratch because they're a small business also. They even offer bookseller recommendations for great audiobook options. You can sign up right now via www.vickeryandco.com/LibroFM. That's vickeryandco.com/LIBROFM. And when you do, you'll get one free audiobook of your choice and the proceeds will go to your favorite local bookstore. Now, check what I just said there. You're going to get a free book, and the proceeds are still going to go to your local bookstore because Libro.fm makes sure that their booksellers get paid even when they give a promo to customers. I've listened to over 20 audiobooks this year alone. I especially love listening to memoirs read by the author, and it feels great knowing that all of my purchases support my local bookstore, The Book Table, in Oak Park, Illinois. Libro.fm. The same audiobooks, the same price, but a completely different story. Check them out right now at vickeryandco.com/LibroFM. You've been listening to The Brave Files, stories from people living courageously. To learn more about the show, find our show notes, or get some great bonus content, visit thebravefilespodcast.com. And we'd love to know what you think. You can give us a call at 312-646-0205. Let us know your thoughts on the episode, the show in general, or maybe share with us how you're out choosing bravely. This episode is brought to you by Vickery & Co. Success Coaching, coaching that helps you maintain a life well lived and a business well run. Learn more at vickeryandco.com. Our music is produced by Matt Lewis. Follow him on Instagram at mattmmusic or visit his website, theunionband.com. We couldn't do any of this without our extraordinary audio engineer, Andrew Olson. Learn more about him and check out his work at findandrewolson.com. And special thanks to our associate producer, Kim Statler. I'm your host and executive producer, Heather Vickery. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next week.